What's going on, guys? I just did a FaceTime walkthrough for this property for my clients who live in Indiana, and there's some things that I pointed out to them that I don't think they would have realized had they even been here in person to see this property themselves in person. But anyway, this is a no-go for them. There's just too many issues that we saw that I had to point out to them. And this is a house that's about 3,000 square feet, but it's also priced at just shy of $1.2 million. So in that price range, you tend to expect a little bit more as a buyer. And this house definitely has issues, but I'm going to point some stuff out to you guys so you can be aware whenever you look at a property to know that there could be some things that could negatively affect the value that you need to know about up front before you'd even consider writing an offer. Okay, so there it is. And the first thing that you should notice that's so important right now, especially with insurance, is the roof. Okay, so that's a tile roof, and on the property disclosure, the seller has to indicate how old the roof is. This is something that's not in the listing. It doesn't tell you how old the roof is in the listing, so you have to pull the property disclosure to look at it, and the property disclosure says it's a 12-year-old roof. But one thing about the property disclosure that you have to be aware of is see when it was signed. The property disclosure was signed 2 years ago, and this is a 12-year-old roof 2 years ago, so now it's a 14-year-old roof. But yeah, let's go inside and let's point out some other things. And you know, a tile roof can last decades, like 4 or 5 decades if properly maintained. But as far as the insurance company's concerned, it doesn't last but 20 years. So if it goes beyond 20 years, you might have an issue getting insurance, and if you can get it, it's going to be terribly expensive because insurance companies do not like older roofs. So right away, and this is more of a personal preference thing, you'll see there's a carpet in here. Even though the carpet's in good shape, people just don't like carpet anymore. And then we have a tile floor here. And then in the bedrooms, there's tile. It looks like it's more of like a whitewashed wood plank type tile. And then we also have it in here along with these other bedrooms. So, you know, buyers don't really like a hodgepodge of flooring. That's kind of a thing of the past. It's okay to have maybe a different flooring in the bedroom, but to have like all these different floors going on in different areas of the house is something that most buyers don't really like. If it were me, I would match this because I think that this is a much nicer tile than this is. This is a little bit dated to me. So I would go ahead and run the same tile all through this main living space. And I think it would just look so much better, and it would open up the space so much more because you can see this is not a really open floor plan. It's kind of divided up. You have your entrance foyer here, and then you have your great room area here, and then you have a formal living area there, and then a formal dining area here. So it is kind of nice because it does have these formal spaces, but then again, if you had the same flooring, it would just make everything look a lot more consistent and look a lot more open. But here's the big thing I need to point out, because this is nowhere, and when I told the listing agent this, she didn't really even know this was a problem. But if you look at this, you'll clearly see that there's a water stain. I mean, that's pretty significant of a water stain. And, it just kind of blows my mind that the seller and the agent knew nothing about this. So they've got to get a home inspector out here and see what the source of that is, whether or not that's an active leak, and fix it. We've this is a 14-year-old roof. This roof has seen a good amount of hurricane activity during that time frame. So having a roof leak at some point is totally understandable why that would happen. Okay, the next thing I want to point out, these sliders are all original. And then again, when you get to that price range, you get to that 7-figure price range, people don't like original non-impact sliders and windows. These are fully functional. However, they're not impact rated, and you can tell by tapping on them. They're very flimsy. So that's another negative in my opinion. The pool, it's more of a lap pool, so that could be a detriment. It could be a personal preference thing. You may be okay with it, but the big thing is right here beyond this little pond, and you can probably hear it. That's Palmer Ranch Parkway, and that is what's known in real estate terms as external obsolescence, and that's something that you can do nothing about. That's going to negatively impact a property value no matter what you do to the house. That road's still going to be there, and it's not that bad. You can't hear it from inside, but you can definitely hear it from outside. But yeah, that's you know, pretty big deal having a road behind you. And I think when people pay that much for a house, I think your tolerance level for noise decreases significantly. So, and there's the textured ceiling, which, you know, I don't think that's, you know, it's not popcorn. So, you know, but you know, the textured ceiling is a thing of the past. So I would say that better to not have it than to have it. And then the kitchen, you know, it's got the brown, you know, I just don't think the kitchen is looks very updated to me, because it's not updated, it's original. But the granite is kind of a 1990s, early 2000s thing. And then I think these cabinets are nice, but they would look much better if they were painted white. And then maybe a quartz countertop would look so much better. And then these window dressings they have on here, hideous. They need to come off. You know, which isn't a big deal. And then the furniture, I don't think the furniture goes in here either. Furniture definitely looks dated. Looks like it belongs up north and not in Florida. But then again, the furniture doesn't come with it, so we can't really complain too much. But that red wall needs to go. It doesn't look good at all. So that's something that easy fix, but they didn't do it. And then the master is a little bit small for a 3,000 square foot house. The master is really not that big. This is a king size bed, takes up a good portion of the room, and then it's you know, kind of dark in here, but then again, it's also a bedroom. But the bathroom's nice. Can't say anything bad about the bathroom. Nice shower. But yeah, those are just some things I really wanted to point out to you guys. If you're looking at a property, you may not recognize or be aware of these things as a buyer, but that's why it's so important to have a good buyer's agent that you're working with, so they can point these things out so that you could, you know how to make an offer. Because there could be another property that's sold for the same price, but it could have a brand new roof. It could have impact sliders and windows. It could not be backing up to a road. It could have a more updated kitchen. So all of these things are a detriment to the property value. So I hope you guys found value in the video, and have an awesome day. God bless.